Welcome to the Survive Scale Soar podcast. Hear and learn through the success of others how to build the life and business you deserve. Learn to overcome failure, what it means to seek out growth, and how to become the best possible version of yourself. And now, here's your host, coach, entrepreneur, husband and father, and author of the #1 best-selling book, Survive Scale Soar, Jeremy Williams.
And welcome back to the Survive Scale Soar podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy, and today is a real talk. This show comes in two formats. One is a real talk, which is time spent with me on a current topic and how it relates to business. And success talks are when I interview some of the industry's greatest and brightest minds. And so I felt it only appropriate, now that we're in the World Series, we're going to be entering game, I believe it's 5 tonight, with the Astros in Philadelphia. Just came off an incredible win. It was a no-hitter. There was other pitchers involved, so it wasn't the same pitcher from the beginning to the end, but still a no-hitter. And there's only been 2 in World Series history. And the last one, they had made mention of Yogi Berra being involved. So that's how long ago it was. So very excited for the Houston Astros. Yet it was what happened the game before in Philadelphia. Mattress Mack, one of our own here in Houston, a business icon, a legend, one of the kindest people you'll ever meet. There's a video that's surfaced on social media, and it was him going off and cussing out a Phillies fan. And, you know, what was incredibly aggravating to me, just personally, was that it only showed the response of Mac. And obviously he was pretty angry. People got underneath his skin. It didn't show everything that led up to the event. And after the news kind of came out, it ended up that there was a guy that was taunting him the entire game, followed him out of the stadium. They had won. They'd beaten the Astros pretty good. In fact, the pitcher had 5 home runs hit off of him, which was another World Series record. But followed Mac out of the stadium and continued to heckle him, but not only heckled him, but began to talk about the integrity of the Astros players. Now, for those that don't know Mac, he loves the Astros. He has personal relationships with each of these players. He is deeply vested in them. They come out to his gallery furniture located here in Houston and spend time with him, do commercials with him. He spends a lot of money going to games, sending people to games. The guy's just amazing, but deeply in love with the Houston Astros. And Mac didn't take very kindly to the fact that this individual was going after a specific player is Jose Altuve, and really attacking his personal character. And it really set Mac off. So they sent out this video. Obviously, it went viral. For those in Houston, I would say 99.9% backed Mac for exactly what he did. I would be one of those. There were some that were like, oh, well, that language was inappropriate. It was outside his character. And all these things. It amazes me the Monday morning quarterbacking that goes on when people see these things. Well, that's not how he normally acts. I'll never buy furniture again the way he conducted himself. He should have conducted himself differently. And it just amazes me because I know if that person was in the same situation or was pressed to that level, they would do the exact same thing, if not worse. So I thought he was pretty tame for what had occurred, but he stood up for what he believed in. And he believed in the integrity and the character of the game. He did not care about the trash talking of who won and who lost. It was when it crossed the line into the integrity of the players that he felt attacked, and he felt the need to step in and stand up for those individuals. And for him doing that, I have a lot of respect. Now, what I also have a lot of respect for was the next day after this event happened, is they went to interview Mac, and you could tell they were trying to coax him into saying he was sorry or to apologize or to say that was outside his character. And he basically said that's what I said, and that's what I mean. And so he didn't mince words. He just went on to say that he supports his boys. He supports the Houston Astros. And to me, that's where I had even more respect for him in the situation, is because he didn't back down. And you see that a lot today. Somebody will say something and you'll have a small few out there that come out and say, oh, it's inappropriate. They shouldn't have done that. They're a racist. They're a bigot. They should have more understanding, or whatever the case may be. They'll come out and make that person get to a point where they come out and say, you know what, I'm sorry. That was outside of my character. I apologize to those that I may have offended. And he did not do that. He took full responsibility for what he said. And he continued to say he was going to continue to support the Astros. And I think that's an amazing thing for him to do. Again, those that don't know Mac, if you live in Houston, you obviously do. He was an integral part of the Harvey recovery. He provided thousands of mattresses. He provided food. If you're in Louisiana and been hit by a hurricane, Mac's been there. The one that just came through with Florida, I noticed Mac was organizing groups to go down there to help rebuild and supply water and necessary items. During the freeze that hit us here a couple of years back, where it dipped really low and it caused a lot of pipes to break, a lot of destruction. People were without heat. Mac invited them into Gallery Furniture to be able to stay there on his showroom floor, to be able to sleep on the beds, to sleep on the couches. He's just that type of person. When he was there in Philadelphia, he gave over 100 mattresses away to those in Philadelphia that were first responders, that were veterans. And he just has a very kind and giving heart. Yet there'll be people that judge him. I saw people judging him for the way that he cursed. I saw people judge in the way that there was political advertisements that were on during the game of him supporting Beeler here in Houston. And people said, oh, I'm not going to buy furniture from you anymore because of your political beliefs. And that's just stupid. I mean, a person cannot have a political belief and have a business. It's just ridiculous. It's the whole cancel culture and the woke, and that's about to all be over. And so I saw those things, and I just felt like I needed to address today that I stand with Mac in this. I think he did the right thing. I think he did the right thing also by taking responsibility. He said, that's what I said, and stood behind the players. He took up for the Astros players and the integrity in those relationships, those personal relationships that he has with them. It's not just like he's an Astros fan. Like, he knows these guys and knows their families very, very well. So how do you translate that into business? What are the lessons learned here? And Mac is a businessman. In fact, he's in my book, Survive Scale Soar. I felt he was such an important part of my learning from a distance that I wanted to include him in my book. And I think one of the lessons that was learned is that you're going to make decisions over the course of owning a business. And the decision may be right or wrong, yet in your belief in where you stand, you believe in it. You believe that it's true. You believe it is the right thing to do. Yet you're going to have all these other people that have their own opinions. And guess what? Their opinions don't matter as long as you're not hurting them. That's like one of my rules. Like, if you don't physically hurt somebody or emotionally hurt somebody in a way that's purposeful and intentional, and that wasn't this case. He stood by his decision. He stood by what he said. And for that, there's a lot of respect. And I think when you do that in your business, whether the outcome is exactly what you want it to be, or sometimes it may not be, yet you stand by it and you take responsibility for the decision that you made. Whether you did it right or wrong, people observing you are going to have a lot more respect for you, not only as a business person, but just as a human being. So that was the lesson I took. And all that stuff that happened yesterday, did it create a lot of drama? Absolutely. Did it create some of the funniest memes I've ever seen? Absolutely. I have like 15 or 20 of them that I saved, and I'll repurpose them in some way or down the road. Absolutely hilarious. And this morning I saw a video following the game last night where the Astros, they won by 7. It was a no-no that was pitched. It was just an amazing historic game for the Astros. And there was a video of Mack, and he's just dancing. And it was when Bregman hit the ball to drive in some runs. And you could hear him saying, "Way to go, Bregman, way to go, way to go." And he's dancing. It's just pure joy if you look at it. People made their comments, yet that wasn't going to be my focus. I just was going to sit there and enjoy that this person loves those guys so much that he's willing to go to bat and defend them. And he's also willing to celebrate when they do something really awesome. So that's my story. And I back Mack. Jim McIngvale, Gallery Furniture. If you're here in Houston, you want to make it a point to stop by. He's got a couple shops. The main one's at 45 and Tidwell on the north side. And almost every time I've been there, and we have a lot of gallery furniture in our house, but a lot of times that I've been there, Mack is there behind the desk. He's greeting people. He's helping people. He's giving people hugs, and just one of the most kind human beings you'll ever meet, and one of the hardest working people you'll ever meet. And that's Jim McIngvale. So until next time, onward and upward.
Thank you for listening to the Survive, Scale, Soar podcast. If you heard something that made a difference in your life today, share it with someone that might benefit, and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Learn more about the host of this podcast and coaching services offered by Red Hawk Coaching by visiting www.redhawkcoaching.com.